Hello, everybody. Yeah, this is my second one this evening. I'm energetic. Normally don't do two in one night. Well, I sometimes do, but I don't post two in one night. But I'll probably post this one. But I'm not going to get into the politics this time, but sort of want to just sort of ask people again, where do you want my channel to go? I mean, I know I have like a lot of different topics. Sometimes it's like computers and AI and like using the Linux operating system or like Starlink, RVs, again, the politics, just sort of curious as to where people think I should go, what direction I should go. As my kids get older and they get out of like high school and stuff, I'm probably gonna like start focusing more like on the RV life, van life. If I, once I buy a van, I don't have a van yet, obviously, but so yeah, just trying to figure out a direction, sort of a path. And my audience is still small. I'm up to 300 and some subscribers. Let me go check my YouTube. I think it's like 320 something. Excuse me. Your channel. Ooh, 327. So I must have picked up one overnight. So maybe the algorithm is finally kicking in. So as you can see, there's 327, 145 videos. And as I say, I sort of pride myself on mostly uncut and unedited videos. Now I have edited ones in the past. Ones where I had to put in a lot of different clips, or if I was talking about like a specific topic like Starlink, I had to go back later and do like a post edit and put in like, different pictures and clips of the Starlink stuff or whatever. So, yep. So that's sort of where I'm at. Just trying to, again, figure out a path. And I posted a video like this maybe two or 3 weeks ago, asking much the same, like what path I should go on. But because I'm such a small channel, maybe you didn't see the last one, or you're not like subscribed, or maybe you're running across this for the first time. So I just wanted to do another one on this particular topic. Here, let me see here. Hold on, not studio. Yeah, so I have like personal updates and channel updates and different things over time. Some of these are old ones, but they're not in like chronological order. I think it was this one here that, well, no, that was 3 months ago. Let's see, latest. Yeah, here's the one. It was 4 weeks ago, so 1 month ago I posted one very similar to this one. Let me play a little bit of it here. I've been doing more posts over the last week or so, and I think probably in the last night or so. I had a very orange shirt on that night, and I had my jacket on too because it was still pretty cold outside. I posted the Blue Heron mining camp video that I went down to. And I that's a good one if you haven't seen it yet. That was the first one where I sort of got out, like outside of my little garage studio here and explored a little bit around my local area. So the Blue Heron mining camp, go back and check that one out. That one's pretty good. To the Blue Heron mining camp in McCreary County, down around that way, over the past week. But I just sort of wanted to come back in here and, I've sort of hit like a point in my YouTube channel where I'm about 321 subscribers. So it was 321 when I posted the last one. I'm 327 now. So I got 6 more in the last month. So you can't complain. I'll take whatever I can get. So I don't know. It's right around that point. But I just sort of want to reach out and ask, like what do you what do people want me to post?
Yeah, so I'll leave that at that. You know, what do you want me to post? I'll post anything. I mean, I have a very broad and wide range of interests. So if there's like another topic, you know, I'm cool with it. You know, like, you know, I guess just to give a little example outside of the YouTubes here, outside of all this, like on Facebook, on my personal Facebook, I commented on a issue that happened this past week here in my own county in a local school district where some little kid was, you know, they had like a project to come in and like to dress up or whatever as a historical figure. And I don't know if the kid is like, I don't know if his parents are like KKK or racist or whatever, but the kid dressed up in a KKK outfit, like a Grand Wizard or whatever they call them in the stupid Klan. But he dressed up like that, and let me pull that up here. Let's see if I can find it. Pulaski County KKK school. Yeah, I'm sure that'll pop it up here. Yeah, what kind of teacher will let a student come into school in a KKK uniform? So everybody all over the country. I mean, it's hit all over, you know. Oh, that's a Cleveland one. So I guess that's not new. Teacher who allowed students to wear KKK. That's Cleveland, Ohio, one day ago. So maybe it's some stupid Klan holiday or something. But here's WYMT. This is Kentucky on the 16th. Teacher suspended after student dresses KKK leader for class project, class assignment. Pulaski County, a middle school teacher in Southern Kentucky has been suspended while a controversial assignment is being investigated. It comes after a video came to light of a student dressed as a KKK in a KKK costume came to on school bus. I don't know if he made it in the school. I've heard the story, but I haven't really dug into the details because a lot of them haven't really put out the details, to be honest. They're just sort of giving the broad picture of it. They're not. I haven't seen an interview with the family. I haven't seen an interview with the teacher. Well, let me play this one now. Let's see what they have to say. But I don't think they're going to talk to the actual people involved.
Southern Kentucky teacher is under investigation over an assignment. School leaders say a student dressed up as a member of the Ku Klux Klan.
We have learned that teacher gave the student permission. The teacher works at Pulaski County's Southern Middle School. And as WKYT's Phil Pendleton shows us, that teacher is now suspended.
Students at Southern Middle School had an assignment to dress up as a historical figure. One chose Nathan Bedford Forrest, the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. Pulaski school leaders say they learned the teacher approved it.
What was going through my mind is this is nothing new. This stuff that this country endorses. It's happened in Pittsburgh school. It happened in California. It's happened in Texas.
But Pulaski County Superintendent Patrick Richardson says he's disappointed and embarrassed by this. In a statement, he further says he would hope that our school and community realize that this does not represent the character of our students and staff at Southern Middle School or our district as a whole. The teacher has been suspended pending a personnel investigation. The situation will be reported to the Educational Professional Standards Board.
I think there needs to be a large-scale initiative for sensitivity training. It should be mandatory.
Nathan Bedford Forrest was a Confederate Army general and first wizard of the KKK from 1867 to 1869. A bust representing him was recently removed from the Tennessee state capitol.
So they're getting into other things now, so I'm just going to stop it here. They're getting into like a little bit of the history. The student dressed up supposedly as Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was he wasn't the founder of the KKK. Actually, the founder, I think, is sort of unclear as to who the actual founder was, but a little bit later on in the history of the KKK, Nathan Bedford Forrest was chosen by like former like Confederate, troops or veterans who thought he might be a good guy, and he a good guy for that purpose, whatever that means. And so that's where Nathan Bedford Forrest gets his reputation from. So let me go back to my Facebook post. Somebody posted a link to one of these stories, and their comment was, "Oh my God, I'm shocked that we would see this in our community," and so on and so forth. And I am too, to be honest with you. I am too. But I didn't defend the actions of the kids or of the teacher who supposedly, allegedly approved it, But for me, if you go back on some of my videos, I'm pretty much a free speech absolutist. The freedom of speech is not just speech; it's the freedom of speech, of expression, of the press. It covers a lot of topics. The First Amendment is very broad. Now, of course, with the First Amendment, you can't, like fire in a theater or whatever. You can't like invoke panic or create an action, a call to arms. Like you can't, and I got to be careful here. You can't say you want to overthrow something, and like a call to arms for people who agree with you. You can't do that because that's like you're invoking a violent action. But when it comes to speech and expression, those two things, that's a whole different story. I'm not going to bring up my YouTube because I don't want to have people's personal names on here. But when the person posted the video, I didn't defend the KKK. I didn't, because I'm not. That's not me. Anybody who has followed the channel for a while will know that's not my thing. I'm not. I don't defend racists. I don't defend evil people, non-tolerant, ugly, mean, ugly people. So, but I defend their right and everybody's right, no matter who you are. I defend everyone's right to speak or to express themselves in whatever way they want. It doesn't matter if it's good, morally, or bad. It doesn't matter. And so through the post, I had an African-American girl come back to me, and she said that she somewhat agreed with me, but she disagreed when they said that Nathan Bedford Forrest, it's history, so it should be allowed. And then she started to get into Black History Month and how those same people who support the Klan and who support the KKK, those people are trying to say it's history, so it should be allowed. But at the same time, with Black History Month, she's saying the same thing, that Black History Month is history and it should be allowed. I didn't call her out on that one. I felt that would be a bit insensitive. But if Black history can be, if that can be part of history, then the bad part of history should also be talked about. You shouldn't suppress hateful thoughts because they offend you. The freedom of speech should offend. Of course, the freedom of speech, if you hear something you like, that's good and great. Yay, it's something you like. But at the same time, the freedom of speech is something that you might not like. But at the same time, by allowing the people that you disagree to speak, then you could call them out. And that was the whole takeaway from my post on my personal Facebook. Well, not my post, but I commented on another post. But that was the entire takeaway from that, is that by listening to people you don't agree with, then you could more easily call them out. You could sort of shrink. Let me switch back to full screen here so I can pull up my Facebook without revealing identities of people. I want to do that now because I really want to read what I wrote back to this person and what she wrote to me as well. Let's see, Facebook. See if I can find one of their comments to me so I can pull up the post. Everything is running a bit slow here at the moment. Okay, yeah, there we go. So I basically wrote, freedom of speech is not a freedom from she wrote this to me. Freedom of speech is not a freedom from consequences. Well, actually, let me start at the beginning. I said, I'm sure I'll be attacked, but I'm a First Amendment absolutist, especially for things I don't agree with. I believe that allowing controversial speech helps people form a stronger view on a specific topic. The freedom of speech and expression has to be equal, because what if the tide of what is right and wrong change because you're on the other side of popular belief? I don't know if people fully understood what I was saying there, but the person came back and said, freedom of speech is not freedom from consequences. One can have a controversial conversation and be educated without wearing such offensive symbols from a group that represents hate and supremacy. But then I replied and said, respectively, it is. You may not be free from the consequences of what people think of you, but the right to speak and express yourself without being shut down by the government or anyone else. The beauty of the First Amendment is that it protects everyone. In this case, what happened was controversial, but look at all the awareness that it has brought to the topic. I said, sure, it stoked emotion and strong opinions, but that's exactly why the First Amendment is so important. Whatever the topic is, positive or negative, it has led to dialogue and people learning more about this topic. And this girl doesn't know me, so I'm not judging her, but she said, look, it was like, look, there's already enough controversial topics and conversations going on today, especially surrounding racial issues and injustices. And awareness, she's like, yeah, no. And this is where she contradicted herself a little bit. She said, yeah, no, the same folks that are saying this is history and it should be allowed are the same folks who have issues with Black history being taught more than just in February. No opinions or views have swayed them from either side, not enough always. And that took me back a little bit, because she's basically saying that the other side that she disagrees with are saying that it's history and should be allowed. And then at the same time, she's saying that Black history is history and should be allowed. So she contradicted herself on that. But like I said earlier, I didn't call her out on that. But then she said, as a Black person who has encountered the Klan as a child while riding in the car with my white, in parentheses, white mother, seeing a child dressed up and making light of this situation is rather upsetting. Most of the folks in America are well aware of what the white robe represents, and it's absolutely terrifying. I hate the word terrifying, outside of this topic even. Like, so many people use the word terrifying when it's not. I mean, I really doubt that this grown woman, even when referring to a child, thought that was terrifying. Terrifying in the true sense that they were in terror. We can have these, she said, we can have these conversations without adding to the physical symbolic presence on the table. I'm sorry, but there are reasons why these libertarian, I think she was assuming I was libertarian, but why these libertarian ideologies fail to make any leeway in our country. So I very nicely said, and I do appreciate your views and you sharing that painful experience you had. And even though I'm white, I remember a similar experience during my childhood when we rode by at Klan rally. I remember my mother literally stopping the car to get out and confront them, and in retrospect, I'm glad she did, because it obviously created a situation, this is me talking, created a situation where I, as a young child who had no idea what they stood for, was able to learn why their viewpoints, the KKK, were bad, harmful, and wrong, instead of thinking that it was normal or remaining unaware. I remember the feeling I had at that time as a child, that they were very scary, hateful, and mean people, even though at that age I didn't know why. But then I continue and said, their freedom of speech, the Klan members, although hurtful, allowed my life and many others to be shaped into a positive direction, to learn from the mistakes of the past. And I'm not basing my First Amendment views on any ideology in the libertarian comment. I'm just saying that the government shouldn't be the ones that are restricting the First Amendment. Obviously, let the court of public opinion render judgment. You, me, us, as that is our First Amendment right to do so. In defense of black history, it is a rich history that has greatly shaped this country. The world, and rightfully so, is being taught more and more. It shouldn't be constrained to just 1 month in February. It should be taught right up there at the same level as any other topic in history, or even more so, since it's been suppressed for so long, despite objections by racists and, as you stated, those who disagree. But I said in the past, in the courts, liberals and conservatives, judges alike, have all upheld, almost unanimously, the right of the First Amendment, even when it comes to hate speech. Often specifically for the reasons I originally stated, that you never know when your own speech and expressions may be considered controversial and may try to be suppressed by a majority opinion that you don't agree with, even though it's morally correct and justified. So I basically, to end it, I basically said, if there's a speech ban on something people as a whole don't like, it opens up the door, the slippery slope, to allow banning of things that they do agree with. I said, that's all I'm really trying to say here. Sorry for the long message, which it was, as you can see. And she didn't respond to that. So I'm hoping I got her agreement. If she didn't agree, then she didn't respond, but I'm hoping she sort of got the point that I was trying to get across, you know. But I posted one more little, well, it's not so little. I tried to make it little, but I said, after thinking about it a bit more, I said, allowing those hateful people, the KKK, to publicly display their flawed opinions shows everyone how stupid they are and puts even more people against them. I said, I guess a part of my thinking is that the more they're seen, the more backlash they'll get, the more shamed they'll be, the more proven wrong, and the smaller they'll get over time. And then I looked up some statistics from the 1920s to the 2020s. So I said a good example of that is with the 1920s. The KKK and similar groups had members numbering in the millions. But now in the 2020s, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which if you know who they are, they're a very liberal, left-leaning group, estimated that there were between 5,000 and 8,000 Klan members in the United States. So it went from millions in the 1920s to 5,000 to 8,000 in the 2020s. I mean, that's a huge decline. Now, I'm sure there's other people outside that 5,000 to 8,000, but even if you times that by, 10 or 20, that's still a massive decline as to what the Klan membership was in the 1920s. So I basically continued and said, so the KKK is dying away. And much of what happened during the 1920s and beyond, the Klan fought to be able to express their views. They even won court cases to uphold their First Amendment rights. So basically, I feel as if they're literally killing themselves off. like I said earlier, the more they put themselves out there, the more people think how stupid they are, and the more people who dismiss them, the more people who don't even get involved with them at all. So the Klan's basically killing themselves off by defending their First Amendment rights and winning in court. And maybe that's why the decisions were unanimous. Maybe that's why the left-leaning Supreme Court judges upheld their rights, because they knew that they would dig themselves into a hole, make themselves look stupid, and knock themselves out of existence, out of the mainstream. And the Klan, outside of the left, the gang, the squad, the Biden administration saying that white supremacy is the biggest threat to humanity in the whole world. I mean, the Biden administration actually recently said that the white supremacy was the biggest threat, even more so than the Russians, who are supposedly going to start World War III. It's a bigger threat than Afghanistan, all the terrorists, ISIS, all that stuff. White supremacy is the worst, according to the Biden administration. Look it up. If you don't believe me, look it up. So I continued and then said if the Klan were officially suppressed, it would probably be worse overall for everyone if they were suppressed, because they would most likely have to gather secretly and build support using the mantra that they're being oppressed and the whole world is against them, which most of the world is against them, thankfully. And white supremacy, if meeting in secret and spouting off oppression, they would continue to fester and their ranks would grow privately, with the public not even seeing them or their hateful ways. If they're seen, it's easier to call them out and eventually phase them out. And that's where it ended. She didn't respond. I wish she would have, because I would have really liked her opinion on those last two posts. I probably got too long, but out of everybody I saw in this post, which a lot of them are my friends, and I didn't know this girl, but the original girl who posted, I know her, or woman, I should call her a woman, respectfully. I commented on her article, and then the person that I was speaking with came back, but everybody else, was just very negative to the. I hate labels, but they're very negative to the left side of things. They're like, I'm not surprised, sadly. Everybody's like, sad. They're like, historic costume, really? And I'm like, yes. Well, I didn't say this, but I was thinking, yes, it is a historical costume. It's not good. It's not positive, but yes, it is one. And then somebody said, it blows my mind at the comments in the original post. It's history, quote unquote, or it would be okay if it was Hitler. No, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be okay if it was Hitler. But whoever did dress up as Hitler, they have the freedom of speech and they're allowed to say or express whatever they want without the government or anybody else, for that matter, shutting them down. And Hitler was an asshole too. He sucked. Somebody said the comments are so bad. Comments as if the situation wasn't embarrassing enough, with a little rolly eye. It's wild even trying to defend it. What's wrong with the world? The comments are giving me a headache. A typical leftist. Actually, I'm not going to say the name, but I know that guy, and you can't say a word to him that he disagrees with, or he's going to have a headache. And then another woman said, I had to delete my post because of people in their ignorant ways. I can't believe this even crossed someone's mind as okay. And it wasn't okay, but the news, the media, maybe the family hasn't agreed to an interview. Maybe they were trying to make a point. Maybe the whole point of what they did was to have this conversation. But nobody's interviewed them. Nobody's talked to them. Nobody's gotten their side of their story. Then somebody said the comments maybe want a puke emoji. And then my comment, I'm not going to reread that. And there's more after that. It's just much of the same. this person said the comments ... Tell me you're a racist without telling me you're a racist. And that comment is bullshit, because I'm not defending it, but basically what that woman is trying to say, that if I try to defend somebody's free speech, to me, that doesn't mean that I'm defending the actions. That doesn't mean that I'm defending the Klan. But according to her, if I defend their sort of freedom of speech or whatever, their freedom of expression, then she's calling me a racist. And then actually the person I was talking to came back with, of course, black hand emojis, clap, clap, clap. And then the original poster said, the quiet racism never surprises me. As a teacher, I'd like to ask that teacher what they were thinking. Well, honestly, what that other teacher was thinking, that he's damned if he does, or he's damned if he don't. If he told the kid, no, you can't do that, then maybe that kid's family was smart and said, well, we'll get the ACLU on you. You're violating my free speech. I'm going to file a lawsuit and you're going to lose your job. But then at the same time, he's like, well, if I allow the kid, then you're going to have the NAACP and the opposite side of the political spectrum coming down on him. So again, he's damned if he does, he's damned if he don't. He would have had a lawsuit on him in either way. And honestly, no matter which way he went, the ACLU probably would have filed suit against him, whether he defended the kid who wore the costume, the Klan costume, or not. Because no matter what he did, he's violating somebody's rights, whether it's true First Amendment rights or if he's offending them at a personal level. I mean, it's insane. You can't win these days. You cannot win. According to somebody, they said the parents said, yeah, that's a great idea, do that. But that was sort of done in sarcasm. And actually somebody did come back and say, you're kidding me. Do we know that for a fact? And then the original poster said, I'm just assuming they did. They said that because they followed through with it. So the parents said, yeah, this is a great idea, quote unquote. Let's do that. And then when somebody called them out, they said, I'm just assuming they did because they followed through with it. So that's, again, and then the person they were talking to like laughed out loud, and cry emojis. Then somebody said, as a parent, no way would I allow a child to participate in this. I'd help or guide them to a better choice of historic costume. Yeah, maybe they could have picked a hero, but at the same time, like I said earlier, they picked a controversial one. And whether they disagree or whether they agree or disagree with it, they created a conversation, and the conversation is good. Whether it's offensive or not offensive. I want to say Jordan Peterson, he's like, when he was talking about free speech, he's like, you can't have free speech unless, basically to have free speech, you have to be willing to be offended. If you're not willing to be offended, then free speech is out, because everybody's going to be offended. And you might be offended by what I'm saying here, and you may want to ban me and shadow ban, but that's not right, because this is my freedom of speech. And I'm more than happy for you to comment and post or make a video or whatever disputing what I'm saying. That's fine. That's freedom of speech. That's the whole point. Oh my gosh. And I'm not criticizing you, the person that's watching this specifically, but just the general masses. Another person, the comments show me that there's no hope for our country. And somebody said, I feel the same way. It feels like we're living in the Twilight Zone. I had to stop reading them, the comments. And so I knew I shouldn't have, but I read some of the comments and wow, there are some stupid people out there. But then I don't know the particular person who commented here, but at the same time, I know as much as the liberal people. So I would make the same comment back to them. And I hold no ill will toward any group or whatever, but I believe that person is a very big, like, for example, LGBTQ, TIAA plus, whatever it is now, person. They defend those rights, and so do I. I mean, I don't care what people identify as. I don't care what your lifestyle is. But I know that person, not personally, but I know they defend that. And people, honestly, people who identify as men, biological men who identify as women, that's BS, especially for the purpose of playing sports and winning and beating all the actual biologically born women. That's BS. And I know this person probably supports that idea. And she's saying that we're living in the twilight zone on the other side. I mean, I'm sort of independent with a lot of liberal leanings and some conservative leanings, but I'm very much centrist. But I don't even though I defend the right for somebody to identify however they want, whatever they want, that doesn't mean that I have to agree with it. It's gender dysphoria. It's a mental illness. Those people should be helped. They should be given help, and sincerely should be given help to help them cope with their mental illness. But when I have somebody saying that something so simple as the freedom of speech thing is Twilight Zone, I have to say that a man saying there are women so they can beat all the women at sports and everything, that's the frickin' Twilight Zone by far. I'm getting really controversial here. I don't know what, I really don't know what the views of you are, any of my viewers, but oh, yeah. So I really went off on a tangent here from what my original point at the video was. Hey, what do you guys want me to post? Well, I'm just going to get political again. So I really, these things I guess have been eating at me a little bit, these different topics. It's just really been bothering me that the freedom of speech is not a bigger thing, because it really, honestly, it used to be the people on the right. It used to be like the George Bushes. Actually, let me pause for a minute. I need to find my lighter. I've been looking around for my lighter, if you haven't noticed. I found it. There we go. But like I was saying, back in like the 80s and 90s and everything, it was the Republicans who were trying to stop free speech and put explicit lyrics on the heavy metal bands and, different publications and all that stuff. It was all the Republicans who were trying to ban free speech or limit free speech. And it was the liberals, it was the left, it was the Democrats that were defending free speech at all costs. We can say whatever we want, we can do whatever we want, yada, yada, yada. And now it's switched upside down. It's the left saying that we have to suppress free speech that we don't agree with because we don't like it. Just like the Republicans didn't like heavy metal lyrics, explicit lyrics back in the 80s and 90s. So it's flipped on its head. Ebbs and flows. When you get old like me, you see these things over time, how the political parties ebbs and flows from different views, and whoever was defending one is now suppressing or wants to suppress, and vice versa. So how about we just uphold the First Amendment and allow everybody to say whatever they want. And if you don't like it, you call them out. You have a debate. You have an argument. You talk it out. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll find some common ground. You'll agree on something. If you don't, live your own life. Do your own thing. Ignore the other. But don't try to shut people down. Don't try to cancel people. And actually, if I go back to my post here, there was one other woman, and I almost want to call her out, actually, because actually I am going to. I mean, I doubt you'll find this post. Let me see if it's public or not. Yes, it is a public post. I'm not going to say who posted it. Oh, I just lost it here. I refreshed my screen. I'm not going to show her name or anything, but sorry about that. Let's see. If I go back to comments, let me go back down. Okay, I'm not gonna say her name after all, but she said there are screenshots of this comment section that are guaranteed to be shared with employers. The lack of empathy and humility will be matched with, I don't know what FAFO hashtag energy means. We do not need to we do not need to live in a world where we justify hate as history. To the already marginalized students and staff, I am so sorry. But she's basically saying that she's going to screenshot comments of people here that she disagrees with and send it to their employers. This is the worst comment of the entire post. You know, pretty much up to this point, it was you either agreed with one side or the other. But now this woman, Shelley Holt, said that she's going to take screenshots of this comment section. She didn't say of those she disagreed with, but I know that's what she means. Screenshots of this comment section guaranteed to be shared with employers. The lack of empathy and humility will be matched with FAFO hashtag energy. We do not have to have a world we live in where we justify hate as history. To the already marginalized students and staff, I'm so sorry. Marginalized students and staff, I mean, my kids went to the school. You know, there were white kids and black kids and Chinese kids and Indian kids and Eskimo kids. Nobody marginalized anybody. There is no marginalization in our schools. There's no, I mean, I know I'm in Kentucky and everybody has stereotypes of it, but there's no marginalization going on in the schools here. You know, my daughters went to the elementary school. They didn't go to the middle school here, but they went to the elementary school here at the same exact school district. And there are no marginalized kids in that school. They were friends and everybody got along. Everybody was fine. You know, I'll go to Morgan Freeman, you know, I don't even know if he made it this long, so if you're still here, I appreciate it. But it was the Morgan Freeman news interview with Mike Wallace. There it was. Okay. This is what we need to do. Let me find the right one here. This is what we need to do to they probably banned it because I'm not finding, I don't want the little quickie one here. Morgan Freeman. They probably cut it. Okay, no, here it is. I'll play the short one. Okay, it's about a minute long. It's Morgan Freeman talking about how we stop, you know, it's specifically in Black History Month, which I've talked about, and how we can stop talking about this stuff. So here we go. Hold on. Actually, let me back it up here and switch over to the screen so you can see it here. So hold on. Sorry about that. It keeps going back. It's not going back to the beginning here.
Jewish. Okay. Which month is Jewish?
Let me refresh it. Let me refresh it here. So.
Black History Month you find ridiculous. Why? You're going to relegate my history to a month? Oh, come on. What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? Well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either.
No Jewish History Month. No.
I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman. You're going to say, well, I know this white guy named Mike Wallace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So that's how you stop it. Stop talking about it. I mean, my girls, like I said, when they were young, I didn't talk about racism. Their mom didn't. Grandparents didn't. Nobody talked about it. And they didn't know what racism was. They did not know what racism was. But as they progressed into school, in the higher grades, and the topic came up, and you know, with all the CRT and all that stuff going around, and all the news and all the news articles about it, and you know, they start reading news and everything. That's where they learned about racism. They learned about it from the media. The media taught my kids what racism is. And even though they're on the right side of things, they're tolerant, they have, you know, I know it's cliched, but they have friends of all races and everything. They don't see color. My kids, and I'm repeating something I said in a podcast long ago, but there was a Doctor Who episode on the BBC. Doctor Who was one of the newer ones. And it was a specific episode on Rosa Parks and how she got arrested on the bus in Alabama. And my youngest daughter, I was watching it with her, in the scene where Rosa defied the police officers on the bus and she got arrested and removed from the bus. I remember my daughter, you know, she was sitting on the floor, like in front of my bed, and she was watching it, and I paused it because she started to stand up, so I paused it. And she's like, Dad, why did they do that? Why? You know, why did that happen? You know? And even me as a dad, that's the first time I really had to explain to her what racism is. And even though that episode's good and it had good intentions and everything, if they would not have talked about it, then I wouldn't have had to talk about it with her, and she still wouldn't know. Well, I mean, I'm sure she would have learned through other sources, but she would not have known what racism was. If we all just stop talking about it, we just see each other as people, the people that we are, then it goes away. It'll go away. But the more and more division that's created by the media, the more and more division that's created by Black Lives Matter and the Ku Klux Klan and everybody on both sides of the topic, the more and more we talk about it and we create division around it, it's going to continue. It doesn't need to. Just stop talking about it. I mean, it's that simple. It's really, really, really that simple. Put all the other beliefs you have behind you and just think about that. If you stop talking about it, it'll go away. You know, I have a friend who's, you know, a white friend whose daughter's, you know, half black, and I've taken my kids over to her place, and we've had dinner together with the kids and everything, and that the topic of race never came up. It never came up because we didn't talk about it. Now I'm sounding like creepy Joe Biden whispering into the mic. We didn't talk about it. So, and everybody was happy. Everything's good. And nobody was marginalized. Nobody was made to feel inferior or superior or whatever, you know. So I started this as like a 5-minute update, and now it's like 49 minutes in, so crazy, crazy stuff. So everybody have a good night, and peace out.